What's up, guys? It's Pedro from the Foot and Fist Sports Network, back again to talk about UFC 215. This is the Fight Fallout Show. It's been a long time since I've done one of these as well, and it's time to go ahead and break down the card. If you've never seen one of these, basically I talk about what happened in the event in each specific fight and what's next for the people on the main card. Sometimes talk about people on the prelims if there's like really big fights, like a huge one, like maybe back when Uriah Faber was on a lot of the prelims. But for this one, it's only going to be some main card fights. Starting off with what happened between Jeremy Stephens and Gilbert Melendez. And going into this card, I expected this to be probably fight of the night because of the fact that Jeremy Stephens always goes out there and pretty much gets into a brawl. And Gilbert Melendez himself has been known to have some really, really good fights, especially the fight with Diego Sanchez. That one is going to go down in history as one of the biggest brawls in mixed martial arts history. I mean, just what a fight that was. It wasn't very technical, but it was definitely giving you an idea of what it's like when two elite brawler Latinos go at it, because those guys just absolutely went to war. One of the best fights, one of the most fun fights I've ever seen. And what happened, unfortunately, for Gilbert Melendez was the fact that the 209 just cannot deal with leg kicks. They just cannot deal with leg kicks. None of them can. Nate Diaz takes brutal leg kicks. Nick Diaz takes them all day. Gil Melendez does as well. They've never been able to take a leg kick. And it's unfortunate because that's a huge weakness in their game, and it's actually really exploitable. Like, what happens if somebody who has really good leg kicks just goes at them? They fuck them up. I mean, even Conor McGregor, who's never been a real leg kick guy, did a lot of damage to Nate Diaz, was hurting his legs and keeping him to the point where he was having a little bit less movement. I think that if Conor hadn't gone to the legs and had gone for more of the style he used in the first fight, maybe even using like less power strikes, but not really targeting the legs, I think Nate probably would have won that fight. But Conor did a good job exploiting a huge weakness in his game. And Gilbert Melendez, unfortunately, has a weakness in his own right. We saw Edson Barboza fuck him up. I think Anthony Pettis threw a few leg kicks. Not very many because he was worried about takedowns. But still, when he takes leg kicks, it's always a problem for him. And it happened against Jeremy Stephens too. Jeremy Stephens is a guy who isn't necessarily like the best fighter around, but if you fight him in a brawl stance or if you stay in the pocket with him like that, he's going to fuck you up because he's very heavy-handed, he's really fast, and his cardio is actually really good. He also has really good takedown defense, so you're not really going to take him down easily. He's just a really overall really good fighter, and he's just got a lot of power, so you have to be smart when you take the guy on. Gilbert Melendez wasn't very smart. He got into his pocket immediately. He didn't look very good, honestly, in boxing range. His jab was okay, but he was just really looking himself. He looked like a classic fighter. He didn't really look like he evolved with the times. And Jeremy Stephens, I was actually talking about that after the fight. He said himself, when he was in there with Gil, it felt like he was fighting a guy who had not evolved with the striking improvements that have really gone on in general in mixed martial arts. He was having a very classic stance. He was like really like that. His jabs were all like just awkward as hell, really slow. So Jeremy Stephens was having a good time just teeing off on him, counterattacking easily. When he is actually the smaller guy, the shorter reach for sure. And he was still able to just tee off on Gil pretty much at will. And once that first leg kick landed, I think Gil actually checked it. But he checked the first couple, sort of, because they were like, instead of landing on the thigh, they landed on the shin. And he ended up with a huge knot on his shin, which Joe Rogan was actually saying looked like an animal under his skin. And from then on, it was pretty much just all Jeremy Stephens. I mean, Gil could barely stand. He was barely able to walk. Every time he would take a big leg kick, he would just collapse to the floor, which is actually a smart move because a lot of times, if you stay on your feet and you try to stay up and then you just collapse because you literally can't stand up, the referee will stop it. But if you allow yourself to drop to the ground and maybe get the get the opponent to think that you really hurt, he jumps in there and maybe you can do something, keep him on the ground and beat him up in some ground and pound, you have a chance. So Gilbert Melendez was doing a very smart thing of just collapsing to the ground. But still, it wasn't enough. I mean, Jeremy Stephens on that night was just too good for him. Just lit him up from start to finish. What a great performance from Jeremy Stephens. But what's next for Gil? Well, it was the first time since like 2007 or 2005 that he went down to featherweight. So maybe the cut was a little bit off for him. I don't really know. He seemed to make weight pretty easily. But if he does want to stay at 145, he's going to have to take a step down in competition because Jeremy Stephens is borderline like top 7, 8 maybe. So maybe fight a guy like Dennis Bermudez. Fight somebody who's going to give him a fun fight. He's going to stay in his boxing range as well, but not necessarily be as dangerous as Jeremy Stephens. Even though Bermudez does have a lot of power, I think that would be a more favorable matchup for Gilbert Melendez. Maybe give him somebody like that. If not, I don't know. Maybe give him somebody, who else? Maybe like a Yair Rodriguez, because Yair will want to strike with him. His ground game is a little bit off, but it's still a big enough name for Yair to beat. If Yair gets a win over Gilbert Melendez, that is a great thing for his career because Gil is very well known, especially to the hardcore fans, but even to some of the casual fans because he had a lot of title fights, as a guy that's really, really tough. So a win like that would be huge for Yair, and it would also be huge for Gilbert Melendez to get himself possibly around the title mix, around the top 5. So that would be a very fun fight, and one that the UFC should definitely take into consideration. Obviously, it would be a huge fight to put on in Mexico. Yair Rodriguez, everybody loves him in Mexico. He's actually the face of Mexican mixed martial arts, and Gilbert Melendez having that history, being actually a 209 guy, being with the whole Diaz crew, that would definitely be a huge thing to do for the Latino crowd. So I would like to see that fight headlining like a fight night in Mexico. Now we're going to talk about Jeremy Stephens, who won the fight and obviously looked amazing. Like I said, he literally looked amazing. I hadn't seen him fight that well in a very long time, and a lot of times it's because people don't really go into his style and give him a favorable fight. Gil Melendez really did walk into Jeremy Stephens type of fight, and it cost him big time. But Jeremy Stephens, nonetheless, looked tremendous. He really did look tremendous. And I would like to see him fight somebody a bit higher up in the rankings, like maybe somebody in the top 5. Also, Yair Rodriguez would be an interesting matchup for him, too, because Yair just lost to Frankie Edgar, which obviously just about everybody loses to Frankie Edgar unless your name is Jose Aldo. Or, I don't know, maybe if he fought Max Holloway, he would lose. But I would prefer to see Frankie take on Max Holloway, to be honest. But still, somebody like that, maybe even somebody like Cub Swanson. I think they've already fought before. I can't remember when it was, though. Just somebody around there. Somebody really, really good that can really test him right now. But nobody that's just next level shit. Like, I don't want to see him fight Frankie. I want to see him fight somebody like Yair Rodriguez. That would be really, really interesting. And just an overall good fight. Jeremy Stephens versus Yair, or Jeremy versus Cub. It's going to be an absolute brawl either way. And Jeremy Stephens has to be said. He has a great chin. So against either one of those guys, he would definitely put on a war. It would just be a tremendous fight. And one that I think the UFC, and most importantly the fans, would definitely want to tune into. Next up is Ilir Latifi versus Tyson Pedro. And coming into this fight, I didn't know a whole lot about Tyson Pedro. I'm not going to lie. I did some research on him, and I actually somehow didn't realize that he had two UFC wins, 2 great UFC wins as well. Not against like top level competition or anything like that, but 2 first round finishes. Actually, I think it was in like the first 2 minutes as well. So the guy has a lot of talent, and I was really, really impressed with what he did against Ilir Latifi, because Latifi is one of those guys that isn't top 5 material right now, but he's a tank. He's hard to finish. He has a lot of first round finishes. And he's just an overall really good fighter. A really, really good fighter. So I was expecting Latifi to have a bit more his way in the fight. But on the feet, Tyson Pedro was doing really, really well. He was landing a lot of nice shots. His only problem is that once Latifi got to the ground, and Latifi did get him to the ground quite a bit, a couple of nice slams as well, is that Pedro wasn't able to get up using technique. And they were talking about on the broadcast as well. Every time he got up, it was just because he was so explosive. And he does have really good hips. Really, really strong hips. So that is a good thing for him. If he can develop his jiu-jitsu more, he has a really good base. Unfortunately for him, like I said, he wasn't explosive enough at the later rounds, and he was just taking more of a beating as time went on. And that was Latifi's game. That is completely his game. He's a short guy for that light heavyweight division. He's like 5'11", where he's usually fighting guys that are 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", sometimes like 6'5", like Gustafsson. So he's not a very big guy for his division, even though his back is like my back is like this. His back is literally like that, maybe even like that. You can't even see it in the camera. That's how thick he is. He'd probably be like from this fucking cabinet over here to the wall over there. That's how thick he is. He's an absolute tank. So he's hard to keep off of you if he does get in, because he's stocky, he's got that build. He's perfect for defending takedowns and shooting in for takedowns. So Tyson Pedro did a really good job in the earlier rounds to sort of stop the takedowns and make it at least work for the takedowns. But still, Latifi eventually started getting him and started taking him down at will. And Tyson Pedro did take a bit of a beating in the later rounds. But still, it was a good fight for Pedro. It was a very important fight for him to develop and learn from. So I think that's going to turn into a very helpful fight for him for the future of his career. And for Latifi, obviously, a good win. Now, what's next for Pedro? Obviously, Latifi is like top 10. I think Latifi going into the fight was ranked 10, and Tyson Pedro was ranked at 13. So Latifi's going to take a step up, maybe around the top 8, taking on guys like who could be interesting for Ilir Latifi. I would have to say probably somebody more or less on the Ovent SaintPreux level. I'm not sure if they've already fought. I should have researched that. I seem to recall that they have, at least they've been even matched up before, or it's been rumored. But still, I think that would be a really good fight, because OSP has been on a bit of a skid lately. Latifi hasn't been beating guys on OSP's level, so a win over OSP would be really, really, really good for him. I don't think he's fought somebody that level since he lost to Ryan Bader. So I think that for Latifi, that would be a very solid matchup, and one that would definitely be a solid test for him. Other than that, for Tyson Pedro, I think he should probably take another chance at a top 10 guy. Who, I don't really know who could possibly be in there. I would have said Nikita Krylov, but unfortunately he left. I think that would have been a really interesting one for him, because he is a really good striker, and Krylov is also a pretty good striker. It would have been interesting, but hard to really say. Anybody in the top 10 will really do for him. More or less top 10. Now, I wouldn't go farther than that. Maybe like take on the 11th or 12th place guy just to give him a bit of a matchup that's more winnable. Because before that, he was taking on guys that were low ranked. Not really ranked at all. So it has to be taken into consideration. The guy still is, he's 7-1 now. You know, he has a very long career ahead of him. He's very, very young in the game. Give him guys that aren't going to kill him. Because Latifi did put on a beating on him. And even though it was a good performance for Pedro, it still was a fight that he probably could have avoided. Still, hats off to him. Really good performance. He has a lot of potential. And I really look forward to seeing what's next for Tyson Pedro. He looks like a possible prospect and a guy, especially in the light heavyweight division where there isn't a whole lot of competition. Like there's a huge drop off from the top 3 guys to the rest of the pack. Everybody from the top 4 on, from 4th down, is just not that great. It's not that great compared to the guys at the top 3. Well, guys top 2 now. Rumble's gone, John's gone. So really, Gustafsson and DC are the only 2 elite guys in that weight class. Everybody else is kind of meh. But even fighting a guy like, you know, Glover after the next fight, like not his next fight, but after that, could possibly be a good one because Glover has been on a bit of a skid. And Tyson Pedro, with his striking, could potentially give him a problem. That could be interesting too, but later down the road. I think it's too early to be taking on a guy like Glover Teixeira. All right, next up we have Henry Cejudo versus Wilson Reis. And I'm not going to lie, this fight was probably my favorite one to watch because I was really, really impressed with Henry Cejudo. We saw him against Demetrius Johnson. He was a very, very, I guess you could say, inexperienced fighter. He looked very different in this fight than he did against Demetrius Johnson. That was only like 2 fights ago, maybe 3. Against Joseph Benavidez recently, he looked really, really good. He lost a very close decision, but I still favored Joseph Benavidez in that fight. But Henry Cejudo right now, he looked tremendous. And Wilson Reis is a guy who isn't that bad. He went 3 rounds with Demetrius Johnson. He was only able to go 2 against Henry Cejudo. It was just a tremendous performance for Cejudo. And both guys are known for their grappling. You know, Henry Cejudo is an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. And Wilson Reis is predominantly a jiu-jitsu fighter with some nice power, but not a whole lot. He's just a really small guy, just like everybody else. He's fucking, like, built for that division, but he's still a pretty small guy. So you can't really expect him to go out there and get, like, monstrous knockouts. There's really nobody in that division that really does. Cejudo out there, he went out there with, like a karate stance. He was looking sort of like, not really Conor McGregor like they were saying on the broadcast. In my opinion, he looked more like Conor McGregor a few years ago. It wasn't quite as good, but it was definitely a phenomenal performance for him. He had that sort of stance. It was a very wide stance, lunging in with very fast strikes, and he is a small guy, so he has a lot of speed in there. And that was pretty much what fucked over Wilson Reis, was the fact that he was just so fast. He wasn't necessarily landing any really powerful shots. It's just the speed that they were coming at him. He couldn't really deal with it. He was shocked every single time. The way he was going out and coming back in, it was just a tremendous performance from Henry Cejudo, and even Demetrius Johnson had to be impressed with that. I mean, DJ being probably the greatest fighter in the world, especially now that John Jones has tested positive for steroids again. Demetrius Johnson, probably the pound-for-pound fighter, best fighter in the world. He had to be impressed, and he's amazing at that in himself. He's very, very fast. He's good at getting away from shots and getting in fast, getting back out, shooting for takedowns, mixing everything in, and Henry Cejudo looked tremendous at that. He did also mix in some good takedowns. It was just an amazing performance for Cejudo, and honestly, like, if it wasn't for the fact that he recently lost to both Benavidez and Demetrius Johnson, I would say give the guy a title shot. But he probably has to earn himself one more win. I would say maybe fight the winner of Moreno. Not the winner of Moreno. Take on Sergio Pettis. Possibly get a title shot because we don't know what's going on with Joseph Benavidez. He's already lost twice to Demetrius Johnson. The second loss was a very decisive win. It was an absolute brutal knockout by DJ. So we don't know if UFC wants to put him in there because Joseph Benavidez isn't really a big name. He's been there for so long, since the WEC days, and he just still continues to not develop a big name. It is a shame because he's one of the best fighters in that weight class for sure. He's a really good fighter, but he just can't seem to develop a following. So what do they want to do? Do they want to give maybe a rematch against Benavidez because it was a close fight? Or do they want to put him against Sergio Pettis? Either way, it'd be interesting. Or maybe they want to put on Sergio Pettis versus Joseph Benavidez. Winner of that fight goes against DJ, and then maybe Cejudo can fight the loser. I don't know. I don't really know. But I would definitely like to see him take on either Joseph Benavidez again, Demetrius Johnson, or definitely Sergio Pettis. I would go leave Demetrius Johnson over there, maybe have him rebook against Ray Borg, because Ray Borg is pretty much the only person he hasn't beaten in that division to be able to clean it out, pretty much. And then maybe defend it one more time against Cejudo because he looked great, or one more time against Benavidez. But Borg is pretty much the only guy left in that weight class that he hasn't beaten already that would possibly provide him a decent matchup. I was actually, as time was going on, a little bit more interested in that fight as it went on, and Hopefully they will rebook it because it is an interesting one, especially because he trains with Greg Jackson's camp, and there's always a chance that a Greg Jackson fighter can beat anybody in the world. So that would be interesting, but still, whatever happens next for Cejudo, it's going to be very, very fun. Wilson Reis, on the other hand, he probably needs to take a step back in competition because he got absolutely roasted by DJ. He got absolutely demolished by Cejudo. Maybe take a step back. Fight maybe Moreno, who just lost to Sergio Pettis, because both guys were around the top 6, definitely around there, borderline title shots, or maybe getting themselves really close to title contention. So maybe make him fight Moreno. Winner of that gets back more or less in the title picture, and from there just let him keep on going. But that would be an interesting one for both Moreno and Wilson Reis, because it would be a decent win for both guys and a chance, like I said, to get themselves back into the minds of the hardcore fans and possibly earn themselves a bit more respect, because neither one of these guys really did. Wilson Reis didn't really do a whole lot to get himself a title shot. In the flyweight division, a lot of times you see guys that are ranked number 8 getting title shots. I think Wilson Reis was more or less like 6th, 7th, or 8th ranked fighter in that weight class, and he still got a title shot. So beating a guy like Moreno would be a decent thing for him. And then also Moreno, obviously, being a former title challenger, well, it would be good. Now it's time for the co-main event, which was actually pretty interesting as well. Neil Magny versus Rafael Dos Anjos. And for some reason, every time I pick somebody, they lose. Like, they should go out there and win, and then they end up going out and lose. It happened in this fucking thing. I always pick Jeremy Stephens. I pick him every single time he fights, and he loses. The one time I don't pick him, he fucking wins. I don't know what the fuck to do. So that was unfortunate. And this time, RDA, I expected him to win. Last second, I flip-flopped and picked Neil Magny, and it was a huge mistake. Excuse me. Absolutely huge mistake, because he got beat down. It was one of the most embarrassing performances I've seen in a while in there. Like, I don't expect Neil Magny to be great, but I expect him to be at least decent. And he was unable to stop takedowns against a guy that's much smaller than him, and he just got smothered. He was absolutely not even close to being capable of getting up. I mean, it was a fucking breeze for Rafael Dos Anjos once he was on the ground. He just laid on top of him, beat him up, and eventually submitted him. Just easy win for Dos Anjos. So Neil Magny needs to take a step back and take on some 10 ranked guys. Not around the top 5, some fucking 10 ranked guys. Fight some lower level guys. Maybe a guy like Tarek Safadine, somebody who Dos Anjos just recently beat. Somebody around that level, like borderline top, anywhere from 15 to 10. Fight somebody like that, because against the top 5 guys, top 6, maybe even top 7 guys, he's just taking a beating every single time. He lost to Dos Anjos. Before that, he lost to Lorenz Larkin. And just overall, even when he does win, it's because the guys get too tired of beating the shit out of him. Like, against Hector Lombard, he was having a bad time early on, got his ass beat, and then he somehow turned it around because Lombard got absolutely gassed. And it's a pretty much a recurring theme in his fight. So, something to take into consideration. He's not quite that level. Dos Anjos, on the other hand, needs to be moving up. He's definitely on the level of, say, Cowboy Cerrone, I would say. Time to give him an opponent more or less of that range. I mean, give him... Who the fuck can you give him? Like, who's fighting for the title? There's Tyron Woodley. I don't think he's set for a title fight yet. There's Wonderboy Thompson up there. There's Masvidal. I would like to see him fight Masvidal, but I think Masvidal is booked. So if Masvidal wins his fight, maybe book Dos Anjos versus Masvidal. That would be a really, really fun fight. If not, whatever goes on, like somebody in the top 5. Maybe even get him Robbie Lawler. I think Robbie Lawler would be an interesting one, but Robbie Lawler just beat Donald Cerrone, so he's probably going to be moving up a bit more in the rankings and possibly getting a title shot very soon. Still, there's plenty of options for Dos Anjos. I was really impressed with him. I don't know how much it was a matter of Magny just shitting the bed more than Dos Anjos being an absolute beast. But Dos Anjos has always been pretty good for like the past 4 years. He had a couple of bad losses in the lightweight division, but now he looks a lot bigger. He looks like he's a lot stronger. The weight cut isn't taking a lot of energy out of him. He looks great. We'll see in his next fight what's really, really next for him, and if he is capable of getting a title shot. Because, if you look at him, he's just undersized as hell. Like, Tyron Woodley is the same height as him, maybe a little bit taller. But if you look at Dos Anjos, he's like this wide. Tyron Woodley is like that. I mean, he's just way thicker. His arms are way bigger. Everything about him is just bigger. Probably his dick, too. I mean, considering Dos Anjos is Brazilian, I'm sure he probably has a decent-sized dick. But Tyron Woodley, he's straight up gangster dick. I mean, we're talking rock-solid Mandingo type shit. Some fucking Shane Diesel type shit. So, I mean, hi, Tyron Woodley. I don't want to see what's up, but I know it's your dick. So, I mean, stay the fuck away from me. I don't want none of that. I ain't fucking finna be a breeze in jail. But Tyron Woodley is definitely a big-ass dude. And I think that a matchup between them would be interesting, but I just think that Tyron Woodley's too big. Wonderboy Thompson's like 4 or 5 inches taller than him. Way bigger. I mean, Donald Cerrone at welterweight, 6'2", 6'1". He's bigger, but we already know they've already fought too many times. I don't want to see that happen again. I think Donald Cerrone's liver between body shots and Budweiser's probably pretty fucked. Who else? There's all pretty big. Even Robbie Lawler's like 2 inches taller than him, but he's fucking huge compared to him. They're just all tall. So it's gonna be tough for him to really find a favorable matchup in that division. But hey, it's Dos Anjos. He could probably do it. He could possibly get himself a title shot, and then who knows what could happen there? Because he is a good fighter. He's a really good fighter. He's very well rounded, and once he's on top of you, he's really hard to get off. But I just have a hard time seeing against some really elite guys that are even much bigger than him what he can really do. It's just going to be tough for him. Now it's time to talk about the main event, which was Amanda Nunes versus Valentina Shevchenko, and I'm not going to lie, I wasn't too interested in this rematch, and I don't think anybody is going to be interested in seeing a trilogy fight. The first fight they had was okay. Nunes dominated the first 2 rounds. Shevchenko came back in the third and did a great job to win it. Looked pretty good and looked like possibly if the fight had kept on going, then she would have possibly won the fight. Rematch, just pretty boring, start to finish, And it's a weight class that there wasn't really any other options. Ronda Rousey destroyed just about everybody she faced, which is pretty much everybody, even up to the top 3 now. She beat just about everybody other than Amanda Nunes and Holly Holm. Holly Holm beat the shit out of Ronda Rousey, immediately lost the title to Miesha Tate, who immediately lost the title to Nunes. So is Nunes gonna fight Miesha Tate? No, because she's retired. Is she gonna fight Ronda Rousey? She already destroyed her. Is she gonna fight Holly Holm? I think Holly Holm is pretty much dead set on staying at 145, unless she loses to Cyborg, which she will. So there's really no options there were no options for her other than rematching Valentina Shevchenko, which Valentina Shevchenko is arguably pretty much dead even with Amanda Nunes for the best fighter in that division. Unfortunately, it was a stalemate because Valentina Shevchenko was trying to get Amanda Nunes to tire out. Amanda Nunes knew if she went out too fast, she was going to tire herself out. So she didn't go out there and throw out a lot of volume. So it was just a stalemate for most of the fight. I personally scored it for Shevchenko, but I could easily see why they give it to Nunes. I think Shevchenko landed one more strike. The harder shots were probably going for Nunes. There was just really nothing to talk about there. There was just absolutely nothing going on in the fight that could really show like this fighter deserved to win more than the other one. So I don't really complain about the stoppage. I don't give a shit. I don't want to see them fight ever again. Those two against each other. It's just really, really boring. There's just not a whole lot there because Valentina Shevchenko should have gone out there and made her get tired. She should have forced her game plan. She should have forced her game, which is a lot of volume, making Amanda Nunes get tired, making her shooting for takedowns, making her throw a lot of strikes, making her at least move. Instead of just basically both of them just standing there planted, and every once in a while she would throw this weird Superman jab, which was working all the time. Somehow it worked, but it was just an overall boring fight. I've been very vocal about this. I do not give a shit about the women's bantamweight division. I just don't have any interest in it whatsoever, and I don't give a shit about either Amanda Nunes or Valentina Shevchenko. Like, I don't like seeing them fight. Even when Valentina Shevchenko fought Holly Holm, I was impressed with the fact that she was able to neutralize Holly Holm that much, but I just didn't enjoy the fight. I've never enjoyed a Holly Holm fight except for the Ronda Rousey one. Never really enjoyed any of these fights, these female fights. So, it's just hard for me to really enjoy them. I don't know what it is because when I see Joanna fight, I enjoy the hell out of those. When I even see Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Claudia Gadelha, I enjoy that. I like Claudia Gadelha a lot. When I see Cyborg, I enjoy her fights a lot. Holly Holm, I just don't. There's just no other top elite female fighter. And even Amanda Nunes, yes, she lands a lot of heavy strikes, but I just don't really give a shit because she's fighting. Honestly, they're obviously elite fighters compared to me, but she's fighting just low-level women. There's just not a whole lot of competition there. Valentina Shevchenko is a multiple-time world champion in Muay Thai, and she probably should have won that fight, but she didn't. She just didn't go after the win. So I just have a hard time really getting excited for that weight class. I'm more of a 115-pound division and 145-pound female division. That's more where I like to stay. This division doesn't interest me. I would like to see Amanda Nunes move up and fight the winner of Holly Holm versus Cyborg, which more than likely is going to be Cyborg. I would love to see her take on Cyborg. Two heavy-handed women with great Muay Thai. That would be very, very fun, and one that would definitely be a big major fight for the women division that could possibly get in guys like me, because I know for a fact there's a lot of hardcore fans that feel the same about me. If you go on the forums and on SureDog and all that stuff, there's a lot of people who say the same thing as me. They just don't find that division very fun. There's also a lot of casual fans who tune in, and they will be interested because Holly Holm or it's Chris Cyborg, so the dominant female fighters taking on a lesbian, which is obviously a huge thing for the LGBT rights. Having a lesbian world champion is great for the UFC if they can just market her more, because they don't market her anywhere near enough, or at least they don't tell her story well enough. So there's definitely plenty of options for Nunes. Like, there's plenty of development for her possibly if they just market her right, and if she's able to market herself the right way as well. They just aren't doing it right now, and they aren't doing it they aren't really giving her the right options to really put on some fun fights. And if they can, then maybe I'll become more of a fan of her. But as of right now, I just don't really give a shit. Valentina Shevchenko, she's lost twice to the champ now. Maybe they'll do a trilogy down the line because they were both close fights, but I just don't see it. I mean, nobody's going to be clamoring for that. Put her against somebody. If she does want to stay at 135, she's a small chick. She might be able to go down to 120 to 125 out the division is about to be out. They're doing the Ultimate Fighter where the winner gets the title for the 125-pound female division. Maybe she'll drop down and fight for that title and possibly win it. But at 135, I don't know, just put her against anybody in the top 4 or 5 and just let her destroy her. That's pretty much let Valentina just do work. I mean, that's pretty much the only option for her. There's really nothing else that's like, man, I would love to see that. There's just absolutely nothing. There's nothing in that weight class that really interests anybody, or at least not me. And I mean, it's a shame because there's plenty of potential in women fighting. Like I said, I enjoy the 115-pound division and the 145-pound division. There's just nothing at 135 that really interests me. So it is a shame. Alright guys, that is it for the video. If you enjoyed it, please soccer kick the shit out of that like button and make that shit sail, much like old Pride style. Also, let me know in the comment section down below who impressed you the most this event and who you want to see each of these fighters take on next. If you want to, also please share the video. That's extremely helpful, and I'm extremely grateful to anybody who does that. So thank you so much for watching. I've been Diego from the 45th Sports Network representing Disturbed. We are all disturbed. That was awkward as shit, but I've been Diego, and I'll see you in the next video.